Hello, folks. Looking forward to seeing you here today. I'm hoping that dog will go away. I thought I'd be outside again today because we have another nice day. Don't know how many more of these we'll have. So thought it would be good to be outside. I love it out here. So yeah, we'll see how he does. If I have to move in, I will. But he usually stops after a while. So going to give you a few minutes to get on board here. Looking forward to today because I've got this new introduction I'll be talking about. I'm looking forward to it. It's actually been in the makings for about 20 years. So as you come on board, if you'll say hello, if you'll let me know that you're here, I'll wait until we have at least a couple of people on before I get started. So if anybody's there, say hello. Give me a thumbs up. Give me something that says you're here. I'll get started in about a minute. It's a beautiful day here in Havre de Grace. It's just north of the Baltimore area. And I'm here for just today and tomorrow. So if anybody's here just yet, as I get this straightened out, hoping to see a few people come on board. Okay. Can someone say hello? Looking forward to someone just saying hi. That'll be fine. I want to give it just a couple minutes. I'm hoping the dog stops barking over there. Hans Weber, hello from Ukraine. Wow. I hope you're in a safe place over there. But great to have you, Hans. Waiting for a few more people here. Anyone else to just say hello? And we'll get started in just 30 seconds. Today is really kind of a big day for me as I'm launching this new community. So I'm really excited about that. Ethan, VR Fun, hello to you. Great to have you. Thanks for being here. I see in the numbers are more people than saying hi. So if any of you can say hi, Sang Chan is saying hello. He actually said hi. I'm really hoping that dog stops barking. But Carl Lover, hello. Thanks for saying hello. Hans Weber again. Let's go, Grandpa. Okay, I think you're right. We will get started. And to remind you of the channels verbiage that we use to try and make this a very practical place of applying our life desires. It's transform, build, and pursue. And as a reminder, transform is the idea that we as human beings are always transforming. We're always becoming new. We're always growing. That's now we have to do that by virtue of some thought. The flowers over there, the tree over there doesn't have to do that. It just naturally transforms. But we, because we can reason, do have to pursue our transformation somewhat. But to the degree that we do or we don't, we are still transforming. Look at me. I've transformed into this old guy from a young guy, like some of you folks are right now. And I didn't have anything to do with that. And so the building area is the idea. That's what we do. That's what we do. So that's what most of life is about. 20, probably 16 or so hours of your day is working, cooking, eating, relationships, all of the stuff of doing. And then finally, what I consider the most important is the pursuing. That's where we are pursuing the deeper things, trying to get beyond the surface and get to the depth of connections and real meaning in life and real purposeful connections and relationships. And so that's all of what we're about here. So, as I say, my introduction to you today. Let's see, um, Judy Howe. Thanks for being here. You smoke? Nope, never have. Hans. Okay. So today I'm introducing the Profound Pursuits community. So I'm going to do three things. I want to give you my background as to why that's so important to me and how far back it goes. Secondly, we want to talk about the heart because that's really what we talk about within pursuit. We're talking about the heart. And so we have to kind of look at that and kind of get on the same page regarding that. And then finally, I want to make an introduction to you of the the Profound Pursuits actual community on school.com. I put it in the post today, so you have access to it there on the post. Um, so it's a wonderful community platform, and that's what I'm going to tell you about here in just a moment. But again, these things are important because we're looking at more of an in-depth relationship, and that's why I've started that particular community because what we have here is great, but I don't really get the interaction, and we can't really have in-depth interaction here as we will be able to do in the Profound Pursuits community. So let me just start with my background as to why this for me and how this has been a pursuit of mine that goes way back. It started with the book that I've mentioned before that I wrote 25 years ago, Building a Purposeful Business. And that's now been updated. I've updated it to make it fit in today's world. But I wrote that having sold a business and wanting to express my desires for young people coming into the world of business, especially small business. And so that's what I did, and it served that purpose. Um, and as I reread back through that, and as I looked at some of the things I said, it was some of the same concepts that I'm now promoting, but on a much deeper level. I was just touching on them then. They had just begun to kind of resonate within me that I was just doing and wasn't being. But I didn't quite get all of that. I had not really quite connected with what was really going on inside again until these latter years. And so it started there with a desire to help young people look at going into business and expressing themselves there because I enjoyed it so much and I felt like it's a much greater opportunity than just going into the workaday world. Um, but then within that period of time, this goes back to the 70s or 80s, there was a Michael Gerber who wrote The E Myth. The E Myth for business people, and especially small business people, basically said this. And it said that you small business people are working in your business, but you're not working on your business. And so his whole message was if you want it to grow, if you especially want it to scale, you got to work on your business in addition to working in your business. So enough about that. But the point is that was my introduction to Michael Gerber. That's when I kind of learned who he was, and I enjoyed that book and used it to some extent. But again, I was kind of getting out of the business at that time. I sold the business. And so, uh, 15 years later, I think 2008, 2009, Michael Gerber wrote uh, Awakening the Entrepreneur Within. Awakening the Entrepreneur Within. So that was an interesting book. And so I did pick it up. I did read it. And again, having already known Michael Gerber from the previous book, I was very interested. And as I read it, it really resonated with me because basically it's some of the same concepts that I talk about as I talk about the pursuit. uh, his the pursuit, though, was towards taking that thing that's within you and translating it into a business. So a little bit different in that respect. But I was so intrigued by it, and I had such a desire to continue to help people connect that I spent $10,000 with about 20 other people that met at Michael's home in California, again, 2008, 2009, and we spent a week with him in what he called the dream room. And that was where we took these ideas, these quote dreams, passions, desires, purposes that we felt driving us within, and began to form our own idea of what that would look like as a business. For instance, one of the companies that came out of that was got 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 junk. Got junk. You've seen that. They come around, they take your junk. And so those guys formed in the dreaming room, and other companies did as well. Well, I took my concept back home with me. We developed it somewhat that week, and it was to have a platform. I didn't even call it a platform at that time, where I could be engaged with others in such a way that we could be pursuing the deeper things of our soul and our mind and our heart. The very same things that we're talking about here. But I wasn't smart enough to do it. I couldn't put it all together. I had to abandon it after about a year because I'd put time and money into it and it wasn't producing anything. And what it needed was someone smart enough to build a platform like School, Skool, which is what I'm now accessing to complete this thing that's been going on inside of me for almost 20 years. So School created a platform, I'm not sure how many years ago, but it gives us the ability to have a community, to have classrooms, to have speakers come in, to have it be a place where we can interact and we can grow together and where we can be, in this case, become the person that we believe that God has made us to be. Just trying to figure all that out and then bring that to an actionable place in life to where we are actually doing that which we are being, so that we're not just in the world doing. So that's the background. That's why it's important to me. That's why this whole idea of the third word in my platform here is pursue. It's because that's always been inside of me, and it's been growing. And I believe that those kinds of pursuits, those kinds of desires, those kinds of purposes, those kinds of passions are in each of us, or most of us, if we're seeking to get in touch with it. And so because of that, I, um, I wanted to help others because it took me so long. I want to help others do it in a lesser period of time. I want others to begin to think about these larger concepts way before I started connecting it all together. And so that's what I hope to do in Profound Pursuits. And again, I'll tell you more about the detail of that in just a moment. But all of this requires that we think a little bit about the heart, um, because there's questions about what does that mean. I've mentioned before to you, I was living in my head and not my heart. And when I went to atlasproject.org and connected the heart and the mind, then things came together for me emotionally. I had to kind of go through that emotional growth stage in my life where others can just bypass that because they're already connected with their emotions. But that's what that did for me. But the point is that 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 in mentioning that we mostly operate out of our head rather than our heart. I mean, it's really quite natural because we live in a natural world. We live where we can touch and see and hear and smell and taste things. And that's the world within which we live. And again, that's the world within which we are doing most of our activity. And so, uh, and so, and so we frankly kind of live there without going that next step, trying to understand what's going on inside. Unless we are really attentive, unless it's really stirring us, and unless we are really called to action to do that. And uh, so it's not like it's a bad thing that it hasn't occurred to us to get in touch with the deeper us, but we do need to kind of differentiate what all of that means because we're really talking about the who. the being. We're not talking about what you do. We're not talking about the things that are unless they're flowing out of who you are, and that's what we ultimately want to do in this pursuit is that life finally begins to flow from our being, and so that our doing is now a part of our being as opposed to just doing. The idea of just doing is it's kind of like we're maybe just focused on making money, generating an income, meeting the needs of the family, just doing those things that we know that we're responsible to do, those things that we must do in this world, but without any real uh, connection, without any real uh, seeking of, why am I doing this? Is only why I'm doing this is to make money? Is only why I'm doing this is to, generate the income and provide for my family? Or there are deeper things that are going on that drive us and that motivate us and that give us the passions and the purposes of our life. So again, those are kind of the things we're talking about. We don't want to feel like we're just living on a treadmill. We want to have purpose and we want to have expressing itself from our very being, not just doing life. So, so that being the case, let's talk about the heart for just a moment, because uh, I think the first response of Christians, some Christians have a very negative mindset. It surprises me. I'm not sure why that is, but they often go to the differences between denominations, the differences between religions, and they think about those negative things, the not things. All of what we'll be doing in this other platform will be looking at the commonalities, looking at the things that we agree on. But I think the first thing that comes to the mind of a Christian often is what Jeremiah said. He said, "The heart is deceitfully wicked above all else. Who can know it?" And so we kind of cling to that kind of little thing about the heart. Now, frankly, I think that's the old heart. The new heart can't be like that. God gave each a new heart. And so that new heart is pure and is perfect, and it's within each believer. And so I really believe that what Jeremiah was referring to was the old heart, that heart that we had when we were separated from God. But this idea of the heart is much more than frame of reference for, again, some is it's the emotions. No, we're not talking about the emotions. If we're talking about the emotions, we would call them the emotions. We're talking about this 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 you that lives within, this being that wants to come alive and be who you've been created to be. You've got this husk, you've got this flesh and bones outer shell, and that's where you operate day in and day out. But the you is that person that wants to be expressed in this world. Let me share it from, I think, a very good explanation. It's a paragraph or two from David Benner, Desiring God's Will. I'm not sure if you read that backwards if there or not. You probably do. But um, Desiring God's Will, and he says a couple things. I think this will be helpful. Uh, Under the influence of Valentine's Day and Hallmark cards, perhaps you think of emotions when I speak of the heart. But the spiritual heart that I'm referring to has very little to do with personal affectivity and absolutely nothing to do with gushing sentimentality or soft headedness. It is therefore quite different from the heart as understood by both biblical literalists and popular culture. It is not therefore something that can be reduced to emotions, and rather than being the source of human evil, such as the heart is deceitfully wicked above all else, it is understood as a way of accessing wisdom. The mind is much more than reason and thought. It also includes such subtle and generally underdeveloped faculties as intuition, imagination, symbol formation, listening to our bodies, and attending to our deep emotions, moods, and shifting ego states. All these are not less than rational. No, they're actually more than rational. They are transrational. They include reason, but transcend and integrate it within other deeper faculties of the heart. Now, let me expand upon that for just a moment. I think he said it well, but I want you to think for just a moment with me about what Jesus said. Asked, what's the most important commandment? And note that he said there, Mark 12:30, that to love the Lord with all of your heart, all of your soul, all of your mind, and all of your strength. Now, if you go back to Deuteronomy, it only says all of your heart, soul, and strength. It doesn't say mind. So Jesus had mind there because he was talking to a different people. He was talking to both Jews and Gentiles. He knew that the Jews understood that the soul and the mind is all connected and the heart is connected, but he's talking to a different group of people. And so what do we want to see that this matter of the heart is not just some kind of a separate thing. It is an integrated part of us. And think about it this way, that in Hebrews 4, we're told that the word of God is alive and it's active and it's sharper than any two-edged sword. But why? In order that it can cut to the very marrow of the bone to discern between the thoughts and the intents of the heart. Think about that. That tells us that there are thoughtful things going on in the heart. It's connected to the mind, that there's an intent and there's and a thought, and that those have to be discerned. Because generally our thoughts are great. I'm doing a great job. Look at this, look at that, and look at all the good things. And we don't so much want to look at the bad things, and we look at ourselves as really doing a great job. And that's the thought. But what is the intent of the heart? Often the intent of the heart is entirely different. And so we want to connect with this thing that we're calling the heart, the real us, the real you that is not just a set of emotions that is responding in some sentimental way. And it's not just from the head where we are trying to figure things out. It is this intuition, it is this integrated part of us that goes deeper than just the head and just the and or just the emotions. It is a part of us that is really connected to God in some mysterious way that we can't really understand, but we kind of long to understand. And again, as you recall, that's been my pursuit. My pursuit, and talked about it a couple Saturdays ago, was the idea that I knew a lot about God because I studied the scriptures and I really believed that He had came and He died and He gave Himself for me on the cross and all of that. So I knew a lot about God, but did not know God personally. And so that's been kind of my pursuit, was kind of digging in to get to that place where I would know Him. So this matter of the heart is something that we have to be in touch with if we're going to be pursuing that which we believe is in our heart. And so that's one of the things that we will explore together. But I just say it here so that we can be sure that we understand that we are not talking about something that is entirely other than us, but that is something that is very unique to us. And it is the real you within the husk. It is the real me trying to be living in this world and having our living and moving and having our being in Him in the day-to-day stuff of life. So so that's where we are with the heart and how it operates and how we want it to be connected to the real things of this world and not disconnected. And again, only because we are so connected physically that unless we purpose to pursue these matters, we will just go along merrily living in the here and the now with the things that we can touch and see and feel, and not so interested in those things that we don't see. And so again, the things that we see are temporary, but the things that we don't see are eternal. And so we want to get in touch with that. We know what's going on. We know there's a desire within. We know that we're longing for purpose, and that we don't want to just be working in the workaday world day in and day out and doing this, that, or the other. We understand all of that in some sort of an intellectual way, and we want to get in touch with that. And obviously, it's different for everyone. For some, a mom, for instance, may just want to, be intent upon really raising her children in the way that she knows that God would have her to raise them. And so, that becomes a purposeful and passionate intensity about her life. And so, again, we're not talking about having to be an Elon Musk or that purposeful desire in him to get to Mars is in us. We're talking about the things of life that are driving us and that are passionate, that means something to us. So let me move on to the the before I do, because all of this again, not only this platform is practical, but the profound pursuits will be a very practical and hands-on, interactive relationships that we will be built there. But it reminds me of James, really the whole book of James. If you think about the book of James, it's very practical. He talks about the tongue and how it's hard to control it. He talks about how faith and works need to connect if they're real. And in the very beginning, he talks about wisdom, but he also talks about the things of life that occur to us that maybe feel tragic at the time. And in the very beginning, if you read that, it says, "Count it all joy," is the way he says to look at those kind of things that come your way. Count it all joy when you fall into various trials. He knows that's going to happen. Count it all joy when you fall into various trials, knowing this, that the trying of your faith works patience, but let patience have its complete work, that you may be perfect and entire, lacking nothing. But listen to this. But if any of you do lack wisdom, and we all do, let him ask of God, who gives to all men liberally and judges not. But let him ask in faith, nothing wavering. For he who wavers is like a wave of the sea being driven by the wind and tossed. Let not that man think that he shall receive anything of the Lord. For a double minded man is unstable in all of his ways. So listen, I'm speaking to you as that man that lived as a double-minded man for many years. I I I was not connecting with these important things of life, and so I couldn't connect the spiritual knowledge that I had, the things that I knew I would read and even acquiesce to, but I couldn't connect it because I wasn't connected myself to God in a way that I understood who I am, first and foremost. We gotta know who we are, who God has created us to be, and then what it is that He's called us to do, who it is that He's calling us to be, and what it is that He's calling us to do. So, that's the very practical side of what we're looking at here. All of what we're talking about is so that the end result is that we take this that we know is going on inside of us, and it thrusts forth in action that we can say, "Ah, now I feel so fulfilled in what I'm doing, and I'm glad to be in this place that I've been longing to be in. Didn't really maybe even know I was longing to be in it, but I was. And I've been seeking to understand it, and now it's coming to light. That's what we want to do in profound pursuits. So I'm going to do a couple of things. First of all, I want to I'm opening up my computer over here because I want to show you something in just a moment. Um, First of all, it will not be, I want to really make this clear, it won't be a Christian community. we have enough of those. We have enough of Islam over here and Christian over here and all of the denominations within each of those structures here, here, and here. Pretty much focusing on the differences between us, pretty much focusing on the negative things as we see it, as we look at someone else's doctrinal perspective or whatever it may be. And so, in our community, we're not we don't care about those things. You can hold those for yourself. What we'll care about is this pursuit of the passion, the purpose, the desires of your heart that are going on inside of you, of whatever faith, of whatever tradition you are of. I I believe that God is working in each of us in that way, that He's giving us these profound pursuits, these desires of the heart, and that we want to be pursuing those, no matter what our religious, faith might be. So it'll be for all faiths and all traditions. So it will not be strictly for Christians. Now, I happen to be a Christian, and everything that I share with you, from my perspective, is going to be from that Christian perspective. But I don't push that on someone else that you've got to believe the same way that I do. You can't do that. It's impossible. No man comes unto the Son except that he be drawn by the Father. That's the work of God. No, I think that some within the Christian faith, again, that negative mindset, seem to think that it's their job to uh, convict the world. But Jesus was very clear that He would send the Holy Spirit to convict the world of sin and of righteousness and of judgment. That's His job. That's what He does, and He is the one that draws people into Himself. I have nothing to do with any of that, but I can help someone understand the profound pursuits that are driving you within so that they can be fulfilled. So this will not be just one kind of religious community. It'll be a commonality of desires that we're seeking to understand who we are and what we can do to be a better us, what we can do to be the person that we believe that we've been created to be. Whatever your background of faith that goes along with that. Secondly, it'll be very real and very practical. We're looking at very simple truths here. It sounds very deep and very unable to kind of touch it. When I say that this husk holds the real you, it's trying to get out. That all sounds a little bit mystical, but it's really things that people have written about over the ages, um, and so we don't want to complicate it. We want to keep it very practical, and that's what it will be. It'll be a practical community where we're interacting with one another, encouraging one another, strengthening one another, enjoying the successes of one another as we have clarity about our own individual pursuit, and then encouraging and inspiring one another to follow through on what you believe is the next piece of that. So it'll be all of that. And again, I'll share with you just a one-page thing here in just a moment that you can kind of look at that. And then finally, I'll show you the mission of the school community, SKOOL, and the how we will go about it, with speakers coming in, with books we'll be reading together, with interaction that we'll have on. And there'll be rules. You have to have rules because someone might come into the community unawares that is trying to destroy the commonality element, and we don't want that. So we'll look at those in just a moment. I'm going to take just a moment to say hello to some new people that checked in. Hi, bro. And someone said hi, Nigern. Courier said, and no, this is a long one. It has B1 at the end of it. And we're the ghost in the machine. Okay. So this is the machine. We live within there. Hans, I have weed and Powerade and coffee with me. Okay. Somebody else loves weed. Enjoy it. Okay, I understand. No money, no weed. Okay, you guys are on to the hashish and the weed here. Okay. There are a few other highs and a few other hellos here that I've missed. Hello to each of you. Um, I'm going to try and take this over here, so you can see, um, because I'm going to have to reverse this. And I hope you'll read it the way it's right here. I'm pretty sure you will. Uh, that the first simple statement. Uh-oh. The first simple statement is that this will be all faiths, all traditions gathering, um, exploring our personal calling and pursuits. We'll have guest speakers, resources, and the community itself to inspire us to actionable results. That's the basic, simple statement. The larger statement is we develop and inspire the deep desires, dreams, hopes, and passions that lie at the core of the heart of each of us who are desiring to live purposely and intentionally. We come with questions and answers, but always with a desire to inform our entire essence of what lies within, so that it, the hope, dream, passion, purpose, what someone a moment ago called the ghost within, becomes us as these desires come to life to be fulfilled in life actions. And here's how we do it. We bring guest speakers to the platform who understand and share these commonalities each week. Initially, it'll be every other week, but I'll get it to once a week over a couple of months. We'll explore a book together, but most importantly, our community will interact with one another so that we can each fulfill the pursuit to which we have been called. All honest, legal, inquiring questions, comments, and pursuits are welcome and encouraged. Here will be the format. To be yourself. Share your thoughts, whether just beginning to form the parameters of your own pursuit or it's already maturing in clarity and depth. Encourage each other's dreams so we can celebrate each success. Now, who is this for? Let me share for just a moment. I'll read this first. Those who are just beginning life's journey at whatever age, and those who are older, having worked many years, but not with a focus on the most important, most inspiring passions and desires lying within your heart. When I was sharing with you that this goes way back, my purpose in building a platform like this that I shared I was not really able to build is was for the older community. I was getting to that place of retirement and uh, knew that there were others like me that had lived a lot of years in the workaday world, even in my own business, but with little passion. Usually early on in your own business, there's a passion, but uh, not as we're discussing here. And so I hoped to lead older people into that. So nearly retired or retired. But as I'm working this through, it's going to be for all ages. I've got grandsons, and they're going to come on board so that they can think these things through early in life and not be like me and wait to so late in life. How do we engage? Well, we'd simply check in daily or as able to make a post as a comment, a photo, a video, or a question. And we'll await a reply to start each conversation. We're going to share our wins in the process of each journey. We're going to reply to comments and questions, at least with a like, but a brief or in depth comment helps deepen our journey together. And then finally, we'll meet with and for the live speakers, and we'll participate in a live Q&A, or if you're not able to be there, view it later as a saved video. Okay, put this back over here. So I hope that gives you an overview of what it will be as we're really just beginning it. And I'm very excited about it. I think it's something that God has leading me to do, and I'm sure it will help many to to deal with some of these inner desires and hopes and dreams and expectations. Again, some of them may turn out to be awakening the entrepreneur within. It may be that some will develop these things into a business. But again, that's not the purpose here. It is just to get in touch with it so that our doing can match our being, so that our doing flows out of our being, and that we are connected to our own being much more closely than we may be at this time if we're just working a job and just doing something and kind of becoming. Tired of just doing it, but we want to have more purpose in what we're doing. And it may not affect your job. It may be something that you just do as a volunteer. It may be something that you pursue that will give you more fulfillment as a volunteer. But if you can connect it with work, that's kind of the ideal. But we'll all work through all of that. You know, is this going to be volunteer for me? Is this going to be part of my work? Is this going to be something that I'm going to build a business from? All of those kinds of answers will come forth as we share together and as we encourage one another. As you see something in me, as I see something in you, then we'll inspire that together so that we all are working together to become the you and the me that we want to be. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm really hoping some of you may join us. But if not, if you know someone in that place in life where they're just starting out, or that place in life where they're nearing retirement or near retirement, but still feeling frustrated about whether or not they have really fulfilled a purpose, then send them the link. So whichever way we get there will be great. Okay, so I'm going to see if there are any comments here, any questions. And I see some of the same ones here. Anyone need to add anything? Anyone have a question about this whole new platform? I hope you'll go to it and explore it. Not much there just yet. I haven't even put this one page statement. That'll come as an attachment when people join. I'll send an email welcoming them, and then I'll attach this. But there are 3 questions to answer when you join. So you might go and look at those 3 questions and see if you want to answer them. And again, it's all free for joining. So it's people coming together, wanting to inspire and encourage one another in a similar walk, in a similar challenge. Okay, looking to see any other questions. Someone want to put a last question in there just before we end? A last thought, a comment? Do you think the old guy's crazy or do you think he's okay? You can say it here. Uh, Let me see. Nobody's nobody's reaching out to do that. So I'm gonna let you all go. I loved having you. I really appreciate you coming. I really look forward to seeing you again. I look forward to seeing you possibly on the Profound Pursuits platform at the school library. It's on my post, so you can just click it there. Look forward to seeing you there.